Hey, James and Jazz here. Excited to be bringing you another Monday spiritual video. And this is a great one that I'm actually really excited about. I mean, I'm excited about all of them, but this is pretty exciting. This is pretty exciting because we're talking about the importance of taking a leap of faith, taking a chance. And in life, you know, sometimes taking those chances is actually what will get you to where you're actually supposed to be. Most things in life, if you really want to see a great reward out of it, you actually need to take a chance to get there. I think of all the inventors and individuals that have done really, really big things, like having light and just everything. They've taken chances, and they've failed too. In fact, they've taken lots of chances, and they failed over and over again. I mean, I even think of biblical characters that have taken chances, and it was actually a leap of faith because they're taking that chance by faith because they feel like God's called them to do something. And by faith, they do that, and God comes through. And a big thing for me that I don't even understand why, but I've always been that kind of individual, maybe it's just instilled in me somehow, that has said, I don't want to have a what if in my life. So if an opportunity comes my way, of course, it's important to pray about it,
Definitely.
But I take a chance. I take a leap of faith, and I say, you know what? I'm going to move with that. So today, Jasmine and I are going to be talking a lot about different leaps of faith that we've taken, chances that we've taken. You don't want to live a life where you take no chances. I mean, you may as well be wrapped up in bubble wrap and don't even step outside. I mean, you need to take a leap of faith. You need to take a chance. If you want to see great things happen in your life, you need to take a chance. If you want to watch God work and move in the supernatural and in the miraculous. So a lot of times when you're in prayer, God will call you to take a leap of faith. Unfortunately, for a lot of people, it's fear that keeps them from taking that leap of faith. And fear does not come from God. Fear comes from the enemy. God, the Bible says perfect love casts out all fear. What is perfect love? Perfect love is God. God casts out all fear. So
God's not given us a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind. So if he hasn't given us a spirit of fear, guess where it came from? The devil.
That's right.
Keep
going, babe. Keep going. She's preaching it.
Hey. No, it's really important because, like you said, fear steals people's opportunities and dreams away from them. And it's false evidence appearing real. That's what fear stands for. And fear, yes, it's an acronym. Fear's mostly always fear about what if. It's a fear about the future. Really, guys, devil is not super clever. He's going to use anything he can to try to get you to not step into the opportunities that God has for you. So if he can get you worrying and get you doubting, then that's just going to prevent you from even trying. When really trying is the only way of ever knowing if something's going to work out or not. And there's a very important scripture, Hebrews 11:6. It says, without faith, it is impossible to please God. Did you guys hear that? Without faith, it's impossible to please God. So yes, he's going to call you to do things in your life that seem impossible or seem far-fetched. Well, that's because when it turns out awesome, God gets the glory. It's not going to be something that we have done on our own. It's like, okay, God, in order for this thing to come to pass, it's going to be evident that you were making this work. It's not going to be in my power, in my doing, that this happened. And there is so many examples in the Bible of how people stepped out in faith and trusted in God. And because they did that, they saw the miraculous happen. Think about the Battle of Jericho, where they walked around the wall, the city, 7 days.
7 times, yeah.
And then the seventh day it was 7 times. And the Lord just told them to do that, and then what happened? All the walls of the city came tumbling down when they blew their trumpets. That took faith, because in the natural, it's okay, why are we walking around this city 7 days, 7 times the 7th day? It made no sense. But with God, things don't have to make sense to our human brains, because God's ways are so much higher than ours. But he does require us to do our part. And so, like James says a lot, God puts his super on our natural. So that means we have to do what we can do in the natural, and then in turn, God will put his super on it and make it supernatural. So like David and Goliath, David did what he knew to do, and God delivered an amazing, miraculous victory. Think about the Red Sea. The Israelites were backed into a corner. They were at the Red Sea with nowhere to go. The Egyptians were chasing them from the left, and they looked like they were doomed and at a dead end. They had faith in God, and what God did was deliver them miraculously by splitting the waters of the Red Sea, and they passed through on dry land. God drowned the Egyptians behind them. Amazing.
And it literally took a step of faith. God told them to take that step and just trust that that water is going to part. So it physically took a step of faith. They couldn't just get up to the water and just be like, okay. No, it took them actually stepping that step of faith that the water was going to part as they stepped into it. And guess what? It parted.
I mean, even think about the story of Peter walking on the water. Yeah. Jesus was asking him, like, come on. And Peter took a step of faith and walked on water. Yes, he sank, but it's because he had a lack of faith there.
Yep.
But he actually stepped out onto this turbulent water. Like, how many of us would do that? He had faith to even try. So that's amazing. But there are so many amazing stories in the Bible of taking a step of faith and just having faith in God in general. Because like James talked about and mentioned, in the end, we only regret the chances that we didn't take.
Yeah.
It's the what ifs, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas that kind of haunt us. And so I don't want you guys to do that and have those haunting you throughout your life. But yes, we have a responsibility and a duty to do what we can in the natural. Like, think about, like, if you have a dream job that you're wanting, if you never apply for the job, they're never going to know that you exist. So how will you get hired? You have to do the natural thing, the thing in the natural by applying, and then God can favor you above all the applicants so you can get the job. If you want to be married to this amazing person that you know exists, but they don't know you exist, and you never reach out, or you never even try to make the effort to make it known that you're on this planet, then how are you going to marry them? You can just cower in fear at home and not do anything, but then that means you're never going to end up with them. You have to do what you can do in the natural, and then God will do what you cannot do. It's not like God's a genie in a bottle and you say, okay, I wish for this to happen. I'm going to do absolutely nothing, but I know that you'll grant my wish. No, that's not how God works. I say another idea is go start that business. If you never start your business, you'll never know what could have come out of it. But you've got to do what you can do in the natural. Talk to people who have started businesses before. Do some research. Save up money. Do what you can do in the natural, and then God can put his super on your natural. So,
Amen.
Where do you want to go from here, baby?
Yeah, I mean, what are some examples of some risks, some steps of faith that you have taken?
Well, the biggest one in my life would be reaching out to him. Yeah, the most amazing, miraculous blessing God sent me. It was definitely not in my nature to reach out to him. And if you want to hear our whole story of how we met, we have a whole video that explains in depth. But basically, I knew that I needed to reach out to him over Instagram. We didn't know each other. We had mutual friends. But something in my spirit would not let him just pass by without reaching out to him. And through a mutual friend, God confirmed that because Ruth initiated things with Boaz in the Bible, I felt like I had the green light to reach out to him. Well, if I would have never reached out to him on Instagram, we would not be married. We would not be doing James and Jazz together. It's just like wild how one decision can alter and shape the course of your life. One decision. had I not reached out to him, my life would be so different right now. And I don't believe it would be for the better. I would have missed out on so much because he's amazing and he is the one that God had in store for me. And so I also hear of girls out there, and I'm gonna insert this, girls and guys, that want to find that special someone, but they're not doing anything to meet people. And so, especially, and this might date this video, but with COVID happening, people aren't going out in public. And so, how are you going to meet anybody, like besides church and whatnot?
Yeah.
So I encourage you, and I encouraged a friend recently to try online dating. And be smart about it. If you're not led to do it, then don't do it. And that goes for any decision in life. But you've got to do in the natural what you can do, and God can do the supernatural. So put yourself out there on online dating. You never know who you could meet. But if you want to be married and you're not meeting anybody and time just keeps going by and you haven't been on a date in forever, then maybe you got to change something, you know? But another big one in my life for a risk that I took was competing for Miss Nebraska USA. If I would have never tried, I wouldn't have gotten to compete on the Miss USA stage. Like, an amazing opportunity that I've gotten to have, and I thank the Lord for it. I would have never gotten to speak at all the schools that I got to speak at and impact the lives that I got to impact because I wouldn't have had that platform. So I'm so thankful that I took that risk.
Yeah.
Moving to Los Angeles when I was 19, I moved to a city where I hardly knew anybody, but I ended up meeting some of my best friends ever. And it's incredible and really kind of scary to think about if I wouldn't have moved out there, how different my life might look right now too. So what are some that you've had, babe?
Well, I actually have mine in order, and it's interesting how when I look at them in order, I see how one leap of faith led to another.
Ooh, that's good.
Led to another. So if this first leap of faith
That's good.
had never been taken, I would have never got anywhere near where I am now, let alone all the amazing things, all that what I believe are supernatural things that have happened in my life, all started from that first decision. And for me, that first decision was, here I was, this kid that graduated high school. I was a nerd. I was a bullied nerd. I got picked on and bullied all the time. Barely graduated high school. And I made the decision, prompted by my dad, to go to college. And this mind you, this is all my experiences. I'm not trying to tell anybody to go to college or do anything that I've done. I'm just sharing with you my experiences. I was not planning to go to college. I didn't meet with my counselor in high school because I never had any plans on going to college. I was like, I don't like school. I just had no plans on going to college. I really had no plans at all. I was working in the factory that summer, had no thought of what I wanted to do with my life. And my dad's like, you know what, maybe you want to go to college. Maybe you want to be a teacher like your grandpa. My dad always wanted to be a teacher. My grandfather taught for 35 plus years. I had a sister that was a teacher at the time, 2 sisters that actually taught at the time. And so I made that decision to go to college. And even bigger leap, the first year I went to a community college, one that was local, so I stayed at home with mom and dad. Then the next year I moved off to Indiana. I went to Indiana State in Terre Haute. I made the decision to move away from mama, which I'm very much still am a mama's boy. Made the decision to move away from mom, 4 hours away, Indiana State, from South Bend to Terre Haute. That was a big move for me. Mm-hmm. And for me to even be going to college was already miraculous in a weird way, because all of my teachers from high school were like, are you kidding me? Jamie, I was Jamie then. Jamie's going to college? There were a lot of people doubting me. My mother even told me, prove them wrong. Prove all your teachers and everybody that's laughing that you're going off to college that thinks it's a waste of money and time. Prove them wrong. Use their doubt to fuel you towards success. That was mom's little pep talk. Yeah. She told me people were doubting me, which could have discouraged me, but she used telling me that to actually encourage me, to say, use that doubt and people laughing at you as fuel to prove them wrong, to shut up all the doubters. So I went off to college. That was the first big what if. Because later in life I would have had a, what if I would have went to college? So I graduated with a degree in elementary education, graduated with honors, mind you. Barely graduated high school, graduated with honors in college. When I chose to apply myself, when I chose to hold my head up high and be the man that God was calling me to be, instead of the kid that was bullied in high school, I decided to stop looking at the ground and walking down the hallways, feeling like a nerd, feeling like nobody liked me. I changed that person that I was when I went off to college. I was no longer Jamie. I changed my birth certificate name, in fact, or to my birth certificate name. I was Jamie in high school, but my birth certificate name was, growing up all the way through high school, I was known as Jamie, but my birth certificate name was James. So I chose to go by my birth certificate name, James, when I went off to college. So that was just already
like a reinvention.
Yeah, weirdly, Saul to Paul. There was a physical name change that happened. And so that made a big difference in my life. I chose to go to college. And then, had I not gone to college, I probably wouldn't have found roommates that were into bodybuilding. I probably never would have started lifting weights. I'm just guessing I probably never would have. I was into running cross country through high school, 3rd grade all the way through high school. I am just gonna take a guess I probably never would have lifted weights, but I had roommates who were into lifting weights, and I met in the college gym some bodybuilder guys that knew their stuff that taught me what to do and what not to do. So then I became this kind of I was fueled by bodybuilding. I loved bodybuilding, and from there I competed in a bodybuilding show. So there's what if I wouldn't have gone to college, I wouldn't have probably got into bodybuilding, and then what if I wouldn't have competed in these 2 bodybuilding competitions in college, Mr. Wabash, Mr. Indiana State, which I won both of them. That's actually what made me love bodybuilding even more, and made me, feel like, wow, maybe I've got what it takes. Everybody encouraged me, like, you should consider being a fitness model. Like, you look great. So then, graduating college, I made that decision. I had a buddy that lived in San Diego, California, and he's like, hey, you should come out and be my roommate. He was actually my roommate early in college, was my best friend in high school, so he was from Indiana too, and he already lived there, and he's like, dude, you should just come out. Like, why not? I wasn't ready to be a teacher. What if I wouldn't have made that move to San Diego, California? Like, the only reason I decided to make that move is, 1, I wasn't ready to teach, and 2, everybody was saying you should consider doing fitness modeling. So through prayer, through people encouraging me, but some of the very closest people to me in my life said, I don't know if that's a good idea. Like, people that are mentorish to me from back, like, let me just be honest, my own father, my mother, were not necessarily for me moving to California. They're like, I'm just going to be real with you. You're probably a dime a dozen out there. You're in great shape, but probably so is everyone else in California. So what if I would have chose to listen to mom and dad? And I don't want to put mom and dad down. They were just having heart to heart with me, and they didn't want me to feel so much like, oh, I'm going to do this and I'll be successful. And they just wanted to kind of speak a little bit of reality to me, but I just chose to say, you know what?
They were still supportive.
Yeah, they were supportive in a way, but they wanted to let me know you're perhaps a dime a dozen out there. And I'm not trying to put them down for saying anything. Like, sometimes you just got to speak kind of a reality to people, but I chose to believe what was in my heart. And in my heart was like, I had this like overwhelming sense, I gotta go. Like, I feel in my spirit, I am called to go there. So that was the big difference. I would typically listen to mom and dad, but in my spirit said no. And also in my spirit said, you got nothing to lose. I mean, I was 25 years old, graduated college. Who says you have to go right into your profession right away? I wasn't ready to teach yet. So if there was ever a time to take a risk, that was the time. Because sometimes you're just time-stamped. At a certain point, it's like, not going to be doing that anymore. That's no longer on the list. But I had a shot to do that. So some of you that are young, think about that. When you get married, things change. It's no longer me, it's we. When you get married and have kids, It's no longer me, it's we, the family. So while you're single, there are a lot of things that you can do before you begin to move into a marriage, before you have a family. So I encourage you, that is the best time to take a leap of faith. Ask God what he's calling you to do and move in it with faith. Just as she had on our list, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they believed that God was with them. And they were not going to bow to any other gods. And they believed, you throw us in that fire, we're going to be perfectly fine. Our God will save us. Yep. But if he doesn't, there's still no other God we would worship over our God. So sometimes you got to take a leap of faith with God. If in your spirit it's leaping and saying, this is what I'm supposed to do it. So I moved off to San Diego. Before you know it, I was getting fitness magazine covers. I was doing all kinds of modeling and acting. Even out of San Diego, LA is the main place. I had to take another leap of faith and move from San Diego to LA. Made that move. More and more opportunity kept coming my way. More fitness covers. Before you know it, my next thing was the WBFF World Championship. I didn't even want to do it. But everybody in my life, this is a different situation. A little bit, the tables had turned. I had fear, probably is what it was. I just didn't want to step on a stage and be compared to a bunch of other bodybuilders. After I'd already been on so many fitness covers, at that point I'd been on 26 fitness magazine covers, and I'm like, why should I get on a stage with pros, and I've never been in a pro competition, and be compared to guys that they're actually doing the show because they want to get fitness magazine covers. So that's what a lot of guys would compete for. But my pastor, my mentors, people in my life, Christians, were saying, I feel in my spirit you're supposed to compete. So I had that opportunity by the WBFF, the head of WBFF, World Bodybuilding and Fitness Federation, saying, hey, Paul Ouellette saying, I want to give you a pro card just to step on a world championship stage. You don't even have to compete amateur. You've accomplished enough already. So through prayer, I finally decided to take that step of faith and that leap of faith, knowing that God wanted me to. So I used it for all that it was worth. I spent time, I was like, God, I'm going to do this all for your glory, for your honor and your praise. My desire is to win. I would like nothing more than win. I'm going to put 100% into this thing. But no matter what, I will praise you no matter what. Whether I get first place or last place, I will praise you no matter what. I was praying with people backstage. I use it as an opportunity to glorify God, pray with people, lift people up. And that, to me, just the backstage action made me a winner already. I felt like I had won already, whether I got the trophy or not, because I had so much fun sharing Jesus with people, praying with people, being a servant. Even though I was considered a pro, I was helping the amateurs and encouraging them, and how can I help you? And that made me feel like I already won the crown, whether I got that trophy or not. But God still blessed me with the World Championship in 2011. So I was able to pull that win off with his supernatural, with his blessing, with his favor. And I mean, there are so many more that I can talk about. I mean, even me living in LA when I went to Celebrate Recovery. What if I wouldn't have gone to Celebrate Recovery? What if I wouldn't have shared my past hurts that happened to me at the age of 10 that I thought I was going to take to the grave? I wouldn't have the freedom that I had today. Now let's go back to what if I wouldn't have gone to college? Celebrate Recovery probably never would have happened. I wouldn't have got freedom that I held on to, hurt, pain, anxiety, depression for stuff that happened to me at the age of 10, all the way up to 30. 20 years of my life, the enemy had already tried to steal in a certain way. By keeping me, no matter what happened in my life, there was this weird sense of just depression on me. This weird sense of, gosh, I just still feel in chains. Something's not right. It's because I didn't have the freedom that God wanted me to have from my past. By talking about it, by being prayed over about it, I was planning on taking it to the grave. I found Celebrate Recovery at Oasis Church in Los Angeles when I was interning under Pastor Anthony Powell, who wasn't pastor yet. But it all goes back to, what if I wouldn't have gone to college? Because if that wouldn't happen, I never would have been in LA. So I never would have gone to Celebrate Recovery. So then, beyond that, meeting Jasmine. She talked about meeting me. What if I wouldn't have replied to Jasmine's Instagram message? It was a leap of faith to do that. Yeah. What if then I wouldn't have taken that leap of faith to when my mom said, hey, we're celebrating our 45th anniversary in in Vegas, that's a 5-hour drive from you from LA. Why don't you come and see us, because we're going to be close? And you know what? Why don't you invite Jasmine? I'd only been talking to Jasmine for like a month at that time. I'm like, that's weird. Like, that'd be weird for me to invite her, wouldn't it? But I invited her, and she invited me to Nebraska to meet her parents. That happened the week after that. What if I wouldn't have invited her and I would have said no to going to see her parents? Like, we wouldn't be in the same place we are today. What if Jasmine wouldn't have come, or I wouldn't have invited Jasmine to come home for Christmas break? Like, that's when I proposed to her. So there are so many what ifs. There's so many leaps of faith that needed to be taken. And if I would choose, I just think about if I would have chosen not to take just one of those that I talked about before. You know, she found me through Chris Wolf, through his Instagram page.
Yeah.
And Chris Wolf was my best friend in LA. If I would have never ended up in LA, all these steps, leaps of faith led to me eventually meeting Chris, starting LA Men's Group, being best friends with him, going to work out with him. She saw a picture of he and I working out in the gym together. That's how she found me, on Chris's Instagram.
Because I followed his wife, Kristen Dalton Wolf, because she was a former Miss USA, and obviously with my pageant background, you can see how that correlated. But
I'm just trying to encourage you, to be like, whatever reason I've been like this. I mean, my move to LA was fueled off of Eminem's "Lose Yourself" song, where he says, "Success is my only option, failure is not." So I moved out to LA to California saying, "Success is my only option, failure is not. I'm going to give it all I've got." Mm-hmm. And the reality is, as she talked about before, if you don't try something, if you don't apply for something, if you don't ask for something, the answer is no.
Yeah, the answer is always no.
It's not going to miraculously appear. It's not just going to land on your doorstep. You have to try to get the yes or the no. And sometimes the answer is not right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Not right now. God is sometimes, that's the way he moves. Sometimes it's like, I'm not going to say yes or no. It's not right now.
Not yet.
This isn't yet the time. But the answer is indefinitely no if you don't take the chance. And the one thing that I thought of is, I don't want to be on my deathbed when I'm 120 years old thinking about, man, what if I would have done that? What if I remember when I wanted to do that. Like, what if I would have done that? What if I don't want to lay there and think about all the what ifs. So wherever you are in life, I don't care if you're 16 years old or you're 85. What are the what ifs that you can tackle right now? That you can still try? If you're young, there's so many what ifs. There's so many what ifs that you can avoid by just deciding, I'm not going to have a what if in my life. And it's kind of like that Yes Man movie, but not really. The Jim Carrey Yes Man, where he says yes to everything. I'm not telling you to do that. But I am trying to tell you, if you have something stirring in your spirit, don't let it slip by. Pray about it and move as God asks you to move, and ask God to move with you on it. So, and then the move to Georgia. I mean, Jasmine and I chose to move to Georgia, and I was in California for since 2005 for 15 years. This is a big move for me. I had a church family that I helped plant that church. I was leading the youth group. There was a lot tying me there. LA Men's Group. What if I wouldn't have chosen to move to Georgia? I can always move back to LA. But what if I wouldn't have chosen to move to Georgia? Like, that's what birthed James and Jazz, and we decided we're 100% in. This is what we're doing. What if we wouldn't have done James and Jazz? We've had so many email messages and people commenting saying how much our videos have impacted them. What if we wouldn't have started James and Jazz? So it just goes for, it can go forever. So you can begin to look back at the times where you actually you took those leaps of faith, and you can see how those are that's one step to the next step to the next step to the next step. And you can look back and say, man, if I wouldn't have done that, the very first leap of faith, start allowing those leaps of faith to become a habit, especially when they're backed by God, when God is stirring your spirit to do something.
Yeah, and as you see things happen, as you're taking leaps of faith, then it doesn't become as scary because you've been there before, like you've been in that uncomfortable zone, but you're like, something really great came out of this the last time I felt this way, so I'm going to keep pushing. Or I'm going to remain uncomfortable. Because sometimes we just have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because some really great things can come in the outside of your comfort zone. I like to say that anything worth doing is always exciting but scary at the same time. And honestly, doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. If there are constantly people speaking doubt into your life, that can really silence your dreams and shut them down completely. And something that he touched on earlier that I really want to hone in on real quick is that sometimes people are not going to understand your dreams. Sometimes they're not going to understand why you want them. But that's okay because your journey is for you. Your journey's not for them. So they're not going to understand your journey because your spirit is being led by the Holy Spirit. It's being led by God. And what God's telling you to do is not what God's telling them to do. So they can't hear from God on choices that you're supposed to be making if your spirit's telling you otherwise. Like they can have inclinations of what they're supposed to be telling you, but only God can clearly communicate to you, I believe, like what he's trying to get through to you without interference from outside voices. I definitely listen to counselors and like parents totally, but like if your spirit's opposite of what other people are telling you and you're like, I can't let this person go by, I feel like I need to talk to them, or I gotta take this job, whatever it is, like listen to that still small voice inside because God can clearly communicate. But I don't want you to feel like you have to have it all figured out in order to move forward either, because even if you think of something as relevant as GPS in our world, think about it. You do not know if you're road tripping from LA to New York City, you physically do not know the route yourself. You do not know every twist and turn and curve and everything that you're going to end up taking on that route. You don't, unless you're like Google Maps. But that means that you're putting your faith in this GPS to get you to that destination. So when you're sitting in your car about to start your road trip, you don't know how to get to the end destination. You're just going to trust the process. And that's what I want you to do for your life, is you've got to trust God in the process. You don't have to have it all figured out in order to move forward. You just have to take that first step, putting that car in reverse, getting it out of your driveway, and start driving. And as you go, you will get directions given to you. Because when you're on the right path, sometimes the GPS is quiet. The GPS doesn't speak up until you have to make a correction or make a turn. So when you're on the right path, you're doing good. So just keep going. Even when you're driving at night, think about that. You can only see as far as the headlights in front of you are illuminating. That's all you can see. But you keep driving. It's not like you're like, I can't see 100 feet in front of me, so I got to stop this car right now. You just got to keep going a little bit at a time. Same thing goes with your life. Do what you know you need to do in the moment, and God is going to unveil his plan for you step by step as you trust in him. God isn't trying to hide the plan for your life from you. He's a good God, and he's got a great plan for you. Just like Jeremiah 29:11 says, God has a great plan for you, you guys. So it's going to involve faith. It's going to involve some risk. But that's not a reason to shut down and give up and just stay at home and bubble wrap yourself in for the rest of your life. Like, God's got some miracles out there that he wants you to participate in and help deliver to other people, but it's going to take a step of faith. It's going to take a leap of faith or a risk or whatever it is that you need to do. So be in prayer about it. Obviously, use common sense, use wisdom. But don't allow the devil to talk you out of some of the most incredible memories that you could ever imagine. So.
I love that. God is your GPS. Trust that he's going to get you to the end destination. He's going to take you. He's going to help you, allow you to enjoy the journey along the way. I think about her and our trip across, the nation from California to Georgia. I mean, just being like, oh my gosh, like, look, this is beautiful. And like seeing all these great things along the journey, and just, I always knew the GPS was going to tell me when to turn, and if I didn't hear it, then she would, because sometimes I just don't hear the GPS. She's like, get over. So, but, and sometimes the GPS chimes in and says, there's something in the road ahead. Like, detours, things like that. So God's not going to leave you nor forsake you. He is faithful. His word says he'll never leave you nor forsake you. He's not going to give you this great dream and say, good luck. There you go. He's...
Have at it. Let's see how they can try to come up with a solution to get this dream.
Exactly. So
remember, without faith, it's impossible to please God. So what is the actual action that you can take today to get you one step closer to that dream, or allow you to be placed in the position for God to provide a miracle and put favor on you? Yeah. Is it your job? Is it a relationship? Is it schooling? Is it a business? We just want to make sure that you are provoked in the way that you can't just sit on your booty and do nothing and expect God to give you all the answers in the world. You've got to do your part too. So,
and perhaps you're in a situation where I haven't heard from God in forever. Well, one of my favorite things, pieces of advice I was given is, what was the last thing God asked you to do? Did you do it? So you might want to think about that. What was the last thing he told you to do? Maybe he already told you to take a leap of faith, and he's still waiting on you to take that leap of faith so that he can tell you when the next turn is. As I said, my first one was college. And then it led to the next one, to the next one, to the next one.
God's not going to tell you the end result if he can't trust you to do the first step.
Yeah. So that could be a big thing. So I encourage you, as I've said in so many other videos, to do as Psalm 37:4 tells you to do, to delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. And sometimes those desires that he begins to implant in your heart as you delight yourself in him through prayer, through worship, through reading your Bible, truly delighting in him, he will implant those desires into your heart, the good, perfect, and pleasing desires for you, because you don't even know what's best for you. He does. You think you know what's best for you, but he knows truly what's best for you. So when you delight yourself in him, he will give you the desires of your heart. So think about it as him placing those good, perfect, and pleasing desires in your heart. Now you can begin to pray into that. Now you can begin to ask God, what is the leap of faith that I need to be taking right now, God? What am I missing? Can you show me what I'm missing? So that's what I encourage you to do. And I think we've talked this one out, babe.
Yeah. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. We bring so many videos every week. We constantly want to have new material for you to watch because we want you to thrive in literally every area of your life. We want you to thrive spiritually, physically, mentally, relationally, you name it. So we put up videos like this, spiritual videos, every Monday. We do physically fit videos every Wednesday with Workout Wednesday. And then we've got life and relationship videos on Fridays. So we've got everything for you available on jamesandjazz.com. We also do all of these for free. So obviously it takes us a lot of time and energy and effort to put these together. And we would love to extend the opportunity for you guys to partner with us if you're feeling led. If our videos have helped you, maybe you feel like you'd love to partner with us because you believe in what we're doing and you want us to keep bringing them to you. So on our website, there's a tab that says donate, and you can donate via PayPal, which is info@jamesandjazz.com. We've got Venmo, which is James Ellis Fit. And we also have a Patreon, which allows you to give monthly, and you don't even have to think about it. It's a recurring giving. $5 helps, $5,000 helps. It all adds up because we want to do this full time, and we love what we do.
Yeah, and as you perhaps choose to partner with us, and you can do that in prayer. Maybe you're just like, I feel led to partner with them in prayer. Let us know.
Thank you.
Just say, hey, I feel led to partner with you guys in prayer, and I'm going to be dedicated to praying for you. There is nothing more powerful than prayer. Money certainly is not more powerful than prayer. So prayer is amazing. We greatly appreciate that. But if you feel led to sow seed, is what it's called, sow seed into our ministry, we encourage you to be praying about what is that seed that you're sowing. So let's say you feel led to sow $100 into our ministry, or maybe $100 a month through Patreon. What do you expect? Because when you plant a seed, you're expecting something to grow out of that seed. Mm-hmm. So what, as you sow seed, as you take this, perhaps it's a leap of faith, because I remember the first time I started donating to ministries, because that is something above and beyond. That's above the tithe is given to the church. Above and beyond is called an offering. So you're offering something extra. So as you give this offering, as you sow seed into James and Jazz Ministries, what are you expecting God to grow out of it? I've sown seed into relationships in my past, strong Christian relationships that I was like, I want my wife, God, I'm sowing the seed into their marriage. I want them to take this wonderful date. And God, I'm believing that you're going to bring me my wife. I've sown seed like that. I've sown seed into different ministries that do outreach, that do mission trips around the world, into ministries that are Christian ministries like ours, that I love the videos and what they're putting out there. So I've sown seed into that, and from that has grown James and Jazz, quite honestly. So now it's interesting to be on the other end, where I've taken leaps of faith sowing seed, where I actually have money come out of my account monthly to these other organizations. I've sown that seed, and this is birthed out of it. And now it's interesting to be on the other end and be like, if you'd like to sow seed, but the whole reason I brought all that up is because if you sow seed into James and Jazz, will you let us know what you want to see grow out of that? What are you sowing the seed for? What do you want to see grow? Because we can actually partner with you in prayer as a result of the seed that you've decided to sow. We'd love to be praying for you that seed would grow into what you're believing it'll grow into. We believe in the power of prayer. We believe it works. We believe God works in supernatural. He's the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. He is faithful. So we want to be praying for you. So you'll go to jamesandjazz.com on the homepage. You click on that donations button, and as she said, you can give via PayPal, Venmo, and Patreon. Also, on that homepage, click on videos, and you'll see the other 3 tabs that she mentioned: spiritually fit videos, physically fit videos, and life and relationship videos. On the homepage as well, you'll see our icons at the top and the bottom, social media icons: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. You can go and like and follow us on those different social medias. Subscribe to our YouTube. All of them are James and Jazz is our handle. Beyond that, if you scroll to the bottom of the homepage, you're going to see our subscribe to our email list opportunities. So you can subscribe to our email list, get our updates as we're putting videos out, as we have life updates. And of course, you can fill out the little tab, or next to it, there is book us to speak. If you'd like us to come and speak, you can fill that information out. Maybe we'll come and do a workout somewhere for y'all. We can lead people through a workout. We'd love to come and do that. Yeah, through a message or workout, whatever it may be. Fill out that information. Let us know. We'll get that, and we'll get back to you. We are so very grateful for y'all. You guys have been amazing. Thank you so much for your encouraging comments, for your encouraging messages. If you have prayer requests, send them to us via social media or to info@jamesandjazz.com. We'd love to be praying for you. We believe in the power of prayer. And we'll just keep bringing those videos. Spiritual Monday, Workout Wednesday, and Life and Relationships Friday. Is that all, my love?
That's all.
Well, thank you guys so much. We love you, and we'll see you next time.